Fondé en 2014 et dirigé par Ingrid, qui a été primée au niveau international. Son studio est basé à Barcelone, mais collabore avec des clients du monde entier. Les studios aiment travailler avec des clients avant-gardistes qui comprennent les pouvoirs et l'influence qu'ils peuvent avoir pour mieux les aider à construire des marques que tout le monde aimerait pouvoir choisir demain. Founded in 2014 and led by internationally award-winning creative director Ingrid Picanyol, the studio is based in Barcelona, but working with clients and collaborators internationally. With a love for working with forward-thinking clients who understand the power of influence they can have, they help build brands that everyone, including us, want to choose tomorrow. Welcome, Ingrid.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm going to share my screen. Hope that it works now. Okay. Okay, is it working, Gloria? Yeah.
Yeah, it is working, yes.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Ingrid Picanyol. Good evening, bonsoir, buenas tardes y bona tarda. Nice to meet you. It's really nice to be here. Thank you, Brief Festival and ETAP, to having me so I can share my story and my experience. As the name says, I'm the founder and the creative director of Ingrid Picanyol Studio. But first of all, I want to go back a little bit more and talk about me and my early years. I was born and raised in a small town called Torelló, which is 1 hour away by car from Barcelona to France. And well, as you can imagine, the area, it's not the place of graphic design or fashion, but it's known as the Catalan Liverpool for the number of bands that have born there. So well, with only 16 years, I decided to become independent, moved to Vic, and Vic was the nearest city from Torelló, and joined a female punk band. Boom. The truth is that our musical quality was not really good, but we were invited in almost all the venues of that time. I think that our proposal was interesting to the people because they saw in us that we wanted to have a voice. We really wanted to change the world and combat sexism through the music. So we basically started to learn how to play the same day we decided to create a band. And we didn't went to any school. We learned from our friends. After studying arts, I graduated in artistic photography here in Barcelona. The aim of that career was not only to teach us how to take good pictures and nice pictures. The teachers introduced us to photography as a tool to express ourselves and communicate concepts or ideas. So again, and obviously in a less radical way than punk, the message and the intention behind the work were a bit more important than the technical skills. This is one of the books that we read during the career. At the end of the career, the professor asked us to design our own business cards. The goal of that activity was getting us ready for the professional world. You know, this old idea of understanding the day after the graduation as the first day of your professional career. But the important thing here is that with this exercise, I realized that I love graphic design. So well, graphic design, I started studying graphic design, but then I will leave down the career after receiving a job in Suki Design Studio. At that time, I knew very little about graphic design, but Marcel Lladó, the one that is in the center, was and is the founder of that studio. He decided to hire me because of my goodwill of learning. Again, in my personal story, the technical skills were not the key. This is a sentence of him. I don't know if he's here, but it's a sentence of him. I worked there almost 3 years, a period during which I became for the first time in my life an organized, a perfectionist person, and also a really good designer, technically speaking. My experience there was something like this, you know this. So the teacher is Marcel Yado for me, and the guy, it's me. So yeah, I start from scratch to learn how to design there, and it was really helpful. Marcel, if you are here, thank you so much. 3 years after joining design studio, I decided quit and try something else. I haven't told you that Suki Design Studio was based in Vic, so you can imagine my strong desire of seeing the rest of the world. I moved from Vic to New York to work at Draw & Co Studio. I don't know if you know this studio, and also to work at Java's Lens Studio. Then I came back to Barcelona and started doing freelance. And after a couple of years, the desire of exploring the world returned, and I decided to move to Mexico City and work with the studio Futura. And I worked there for half a year. Learnings. One thing I learned in New York was to accepting the failure, because at the end of the day, nobody decided to hire me permanently. And one thing I didn't learn was to speak English. And well, maybe here one of the big reasons of that. But yeah, and I picked this picture because I think that describes really well how I felt there. I felt like someone that just find a big goal in the life, you know, the American dream, going to New York and working there, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is that I felt really alone, and I was unable to communicate with others. And also I had no money to pay a visa, sorry. I had no money to pay a visa. So yeah, everything a bit bad. I'm sure that an astronaut has enough money to pay a visa, but I didn't. In Mexico City, the thing that I learned was that it doesn't matter if you are a graphic designer or not. You can do whatever you want to do. You want to do interior design, do it. You want to do set design, do it. You want to do photography, do it. Video, strategy, copywriting. The truth is that at that moment there, and everything was about to happen. So there were a lot of opportunities. And I also feel that they have more tolerance to intrusion than here in Barcelona. Here, I feel that it's, no, if you are a graphic designer, you are a graphic designer. If you are interiorist, you are interiorist, blah, 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 blah. Once at home again, Barcelona, I just knew that I wanted to live in Barcelona City. Barcelona was pretty much the only place I could go after all of this. The only place that I could imagine myself forming a studio. I have been inspired for all the humans that crossed my path in all my life. But what influenced me the most during these last 3 years here in Barcelona has been the Me Too movement, the CCCB debates. I don't know if you know CCCB, but CCCB is the Center of Contemporary Culture of Barcelona. And of course, my studio mates in Block Multi-Studio. My personal urge of creating spaces for reflection and the urge of working for brands with the intention of bringing something into the world that it's good to the world and it's good for the humanity have marked the way I understand my profession at this moment. I truly celebrate the constant change and growing, but well, so maybe tomorrow I don't think the same, but it doesn't matter. To me, this is what living means, what learning means, and of course, what growing means. I'm going to talk about two projects. Both have different approaches in essence, but both try to start a conversation with the audience. The one at the left is the last Torelló Mountain Film Festival campaign, and the other one is a wine project called Be Amic that I designed from scratch. Torelló Mountain Film Festival. Okay, the Torelló Mountain Film Festival attracts professional filmmakers from all over the world. And yes, it takes place in this little town that you all already know. It's a big festival in a small town, but it's a big festival. And this last edition was focused on the region of Alaska and the Yukon. I don't know if you have never been there, but well, it looks really nice in pictures. Before starting the design, I was sure of one thing. The visual solution may not be related to topics like Torelló Mountain Film or Festival, because everybody knows the name itself tells the proposal, tells the content, tells everything. So why focus the design on this? So for me, if cinema tells stories, I wanted this project to be an opportunity to tell something else about this region, Alaska and the Yukon. So first of all, I started the project searching in Google a story to tell from the recent news of Alaska and the Yukon. Because at the end of the day, we were about to print a lot of collateral elements to communicate the festival. So why don't take this opportunity to send a powerful message to the audience? I don't know if any one of you know the project of the Pebble Mine. The Pebble Mine project consists in building a huge gold mine next to the Yukon River, the one that you can see here. It's a river, super pure, full of red salmons, as you can see. It is the most popular in the world. In this area, there are also a lot of earthquakes, you know, when the floor. So the ecologist claims that building a mine, a huge mine in this place makes an environmental disaster waiting to happen, because the liquids will probably pollute the water. And this means having a terrible effect in the environment, the fauna, the local economy, and the culture also. So while it could seem that gold coins have any relation to mountain, they are made by a material that comes from the mountain. And to find it, to get this material, the land has such serious consequences. And to me, and to all the people of the festival, this is simply a too high price to pay. Be Amic. A guy called Jaume Jordà called me one day with the intention of creating a collection of wines, and he was looking for a designer. I didn't know him at that moment, but a close friend of me, Marta, recommended me to him, and he decided to trust her. At that moment, he just recently decided to leave his super stable job and start a wine business alone and from scratch. He decided to put all his energy and time in what he enjoys the most in life, the natural wine. We met several times in order to create a brief to describe the wine that he wanted to launch, but it was impossible. His answer was always something like, Ingrid, I cannot describe the wines because the wines are different depending of the person that is drinking them. And okay, so it was really difficult to describe a brief, to describe something to guide my proposal. So the only thing that I was sure about was that he wanted to break the rules. He was really interested in approach the wines to young people. And the best of all, or the worst of all somehow, he wanted to give me an absolute freedom to design the labels. And well, as a designer, I don't know if all the designers are like me, but it's really difficult to create something with anything, you know, like a blank horror vacui. So the brief I made to myself consisted in a couple of questions. How can I create a label that looks different depending on who is looking at it, in order to communicate that the perception of wine is different depending on who is drinking it? Wow. And second question, how this proposal can also be connected to young people? The truth is that I spent a weekend reading a lot about visual perception, like how the color, how we see the pink color through the eyes, and then is described it into the mind, blah 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 blah. But I don't find anything on this during this research. But one day at the bus, coming from therapy to the studio, I remember to start checking Instagram with my phone, but I couldn't because I had no internet in my phone. And this is how actually the image look when you don't have good connection. This is not an ad of Nomad Coffee. This is the picture I took. So this is how the picture looks blurred and with a loading circle inside. After seeing this, I automatically started to imagine what was behind this blurred image, and I actually arrived at some conclusions, like maybe it's so there are three people here and there is a background, maybe it's a mountain, blah 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 blah. And after a few seconds, I realized of what I was doing, and I thought, wow, I think I have it. I need to share this with Olga. Olga Capdevila, it's one of my best friends, and it's one of my studio mates here in Barcelona. Hola, Olga. So I arrived at the studio, and I drafted a quick layout, and I shared a screenshot with her through WhatsApp, asking her, what do you see here? And also, and Olga responded, a woman with a t-shirt and a friend with the skin in color green. Okay. It's nice because this project has started a lot of conversations from life, from wine, of design too. And it has been really interesting to see how this label is also seen through Instagram too. Because look at this screenshot. It's a user seeing seeing the wines in Instagram, saying, "I refresh my app and I still can't see them." So it's like a meta image somehow that questions the platform itself, and questions the platform itself when the image is placed in the platform, and also questions the platform itself because the image is used in everyday objects or products that are for sale, while Instagram is free. So yeah, it's this project started really nice conversations. Thank you very much. Moltes gràcies. Merci beaucoup. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. I love to see your beginnings in the music industry.
I think it's important to consider this, to understand. I think that it's important to understand the person, to understand the work sometimes. And I don't think that design work is super related to the person, but how we exercise as a professionals has a lot of references of how you are. So yeah. I'm not as radical, and then I'm a bit less radical, but
it was nice. I wanted to ask you, yesterday when we chat, you mentioned that you weren't a fan of Instagram and social media, and yet it's amazing how the whole concept for Blamic emerged from it. Can you tell us more about your relationship with it in general?
With Instagram, with the platform.
Okay. Yes, yes, right.
Yeah, it's like like a love story. Well, a bad love story. You love it and you hate it. This kind of bad love story, because it can be an unhealthy place, I think, in my opinion. Yesterday we were talking here at the studio with Vicky Gonzalez. I think that it's also here connected. So hello, Vicky. And while we were having lunch here at the studio, we were discussing Instagram and it's good, it's bad, blah, blah, blah. And I realized that somehow Instagram can be like a therapist, because works like kind of a mirror for yourself. And it's really good because it's free, and therapies are really expensive. So if you, for example, if you need to practice more sport or take more care about your health, you are going to feel envy from other bodies. Or if you have to do something to get more projects, you are going to feel envy seeing others' projects too. So yeah, one time a friend told me there are 3 different kinds of people. The ones that do things, the ones that see the things that others do, and the ones that don't see anything. And I think that somehow it's a big truth, because yeah, well, I think that sorry, I went out of the topics maybe a bit, but I think that Instagram is a good tool. I use it a lot, but we need to, or I'm trying to be careful about it, because I think that we all need to be careful about which kind of person you are while you are using it. You are checking what others do, you are doing and sharing, or, well, I think that the third kind of persons don't have Instagram. But yeah, in my personal activity, I have two accounts. My personal account, every day I'm sharing less things. In my personal account, I don't have any filter. I share my personal life, the things that I'm eating and everything. But in the account of the studio, I have a monthly provision. Not in regards the content, but more in regards how the content looks, how every image looks next to the other. So I'm a bit picky, or a lot picky. I'm a lot picky in that account, but not in my personal account.
Well, that's interesting. And I also wanted to ask you, because you mentioned that the Me Too movement has been a great source of inspiration and reflection in the last years. In 2015, when Jessica Walsh founded Ladies Wine and Design, she was inspired by the fact that only 1% of creative agencies are founded by women. And my questions are, you have created your own studio yourself. Do you think that things are changing? Do you feel it was more complicated for you because you're a woman?
I don't think it was more complicated. No, because, well, all my references have been also men's, except Rowan Adams or Vicky Gonzalez, because they were, Rowan Adams was leading Roanco and Vicky Futura. But no, I didn't have any problem. I think, but because maybe yes, but I didn't realize about it. And a lot of times happen. But in regards to your first question, I think that yes, of course, things are changing, but in a lot of terms, not just for women's. Also the men's that are not questioning himself and understanding that the world is not like how it has explained it to us, because all of us are sons and daughters of patriarchy. Mm-hmm. So it's a big deal and an interesting thing to start re-understanding and re-seeing a lot of things that are like tattoos in our skin. So I like to mention the Me Too movement because it was the first movement that arrives, and from there I discovered a lot of, I'm going to put these slides if anyone wants to take a picture on or a screenshot. All of these people are amazing. Yeah, and some of them are not related to feminism, but all of them are trying to push the boundaries of how we understand the world. And I think that it's really interesting. And what I pick from this, it's not woman power or these kind of things. I agree with it, but what I have learned from this is that life is an eternal learning. It's an eternal, it's going 2 steps forward, going 1 step back, 3 more steps forward, and it's super nice to understand the human being like this. It's super nice because takes us to all the people in the same level, and the energy is it's a collective. It's not me and my ego creating the best things and look at this, all these projects that I have created and blah blah blah. And I think that the conferences are changing too. A lot of conferences based only on the portfolio are the portfolio is in the website. So I think that when people come to a conference, or when me as a consumer, I go to somewhere to listen at someone, it's because I want to go back home and have a lot of questions, because there isn't one response. It's and it's not a bad news. It's what living means, and it's super interesting to live like this.
Well, thank you so much, Ingrid. It has been a great pleasure to have you participating, and hope to see you soon. Thanks again. Have a nice
Thank you really much. Thank you really much for giving me a voice. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it when you brought me. And yeah, I hope to meet you in person. And it's really sad to not see all the persons that are here connected. Thank you also to listening me. And yeah, I'm going to celebrate this with my studio partners are waiting for me here.
Hopefully we can organize this next year. Have you all in person. Thank you very much, Ingrid. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.